Hey lovely people, it's Tempest and this is Times with Tempest. Thanks so much for taking a moment to stop by. Today's video is going to be a really short video showcasing a new buffet that I upcycled. And I have a few clips that I'll show kind of about the process of upcycling the buffet itself. But what I really wanted to give you today were 3 tips that I think will be helpful if you're anything like me and you're looking for something to thrift and you want to upcycle a nice piece of furniture for one of your spaces. So take a look at how I turned this buffet into this buffet. Stay tuned for more. So in this video, I want to do a few things. I want to tell you what I did, show you a little bit of that process. Sorry, I didn't do tons of filming because painting is backbreaking and exhausting. And then I want to leave you with some tips, some things that you want to be mindful of if you are going to tackle a project like this. Okay, so first things first, what did you do to make the cabinet look the way that it looks as a final product, or to just kind of start the upcycling process? The first thing I did was clean it like I had never cleaned anything before. The thing was gross. I couldn't tell that it was that bad when I purchased it. It wasn't until I opened the doors, got them off the hinges, took the drawers out, I had to pull out all the stops to get that thing cleaned. I think it may have been stored in a barn or something because there were cobwebs. In the middle of that process, I was thinking, I want my stuff to go in here. Do I really want to finish this project? I legit considered putting it at the end of the street. So check for that if you're thrifting for something. Make sure that you can clean it sufficiently so that it can better serve your needs. After cleaning it, I had to obviously work on the prep process in terms of priming it. Priming it is just as hard as painting it because you want to make sure that you get good coverage. I primed it, I waited a couple of days, I came back, I painted it, I waited a couple of days, I came back, I painted it some more, second coat, touch-ups, and the like. So you can take a look at the doors and the drawers before I start the priming process. Another part of the process was I went to a specialty paint shop. I didn't just go to my Home Depot or my Lowe's to get my supplies because I was looking for a specific color that Benjamin Moore carried, and you have to get them from particular retailers. So I was letting them know about the project, showed them the before picture, asked for tips and tricks that I needed to be able to come out on the other side of this thing successfully. And he suggested that obviously give it a good clean, but prime it and then sand it and then paint it. I was used to sanding, priming, painting. I ended up not having to do any sanding beyond the top portion because there were some stains and some inconsistencies there, and I used my electric sander for that. But the rest of the project was virtually sand free or sanding free, you know, the process of sanding. Y'all know what I mean. The only other thing that I had to sand were the hinges. Now I wanted to replace the hinges. Take a look at these. Rusted, disgusting. But when I took it to the store, because I don't want to patch holes, don't want to do all that, I couldn't find anything that would line up, that would match. So the answer became getting those sanded down, getting them clean, or like sand the rust off, getting them cleaned. I used Barkeeper's Friend, and then I took them outside for a coat of black spray paint, and you can see what they look like now. These are the products that I use. It's Benjamin Moore paint. The color is Polo Blue. This is the primer. It's not the paint color. The primer just happens to be gray. You can take a look at the base cabinet here. Cam and Zoe are sunbathing, but here are the drawers and the cabinet doors. The primer has been drying for a couple of days. You can see I wasn't particular about spots that just shouldn't ever really show. But I'm gonna get the first coat of paint on and let these dry for a day or so, and then a second coat as needed. I'll show you the cabinet itself. It's still in the garage once I start painting out. I started painting this thing before I had a chance to show it to you. I'm in the garage because it's too big to move right now. So there we go. Again, not really attending to some of the pieces that won't really get seen. Okay, so the thing is primed. I sanded it down, just the top part. I painted it. I got the hinges taken care of. Now I'm left with what am I going to do about the pulls for the door and for the drawers. I couldn't use these, but when I went to the home improvement store, I couldn't find anything that matched and lined up to what I wanted. So let's talk about what I actually did, and I'm going to reserve these for the tips. I'm gonna give you 3 tips in case you find a project like this that you want to tackle yourself. Tip number 1, embrace the flaws. That's like a life lesson in general, right? This cabinet is vintage. It is an antique. There are some bumps and bruises and scuffs. And not only do I not have time to make the thing perfect, I think embracing that adds a little bit of character. So tip number 1, embrace the flaws because it will add character to your space. Tip number 2, remember I had that hardware issue? Well, fortunately, I found a salesperson in the home improvement store that was actually able to help me because sometimes that can be a challenge. And he introduced me to adjustable hardware. Take a look at how this works. With adjustable hardware, what you're able to do is put the screws where they need to go because of the placement of the existing holes so that you don't have to patch and make new. And then you get to slide that bar across and get it lined up where you want it to be and then just tighten the screws. So no one has to know that your screws are all the way over here off centered because you get to line your bar up and make it centered. So look into adjustable hardware. So tip number 3 is to be patient. You heard me say before that I would prime and it took forever. It took forever to get it clean. I had to wait. The guy at the paint shop suggested that I just wait a day in between applying coats of anything. It ended up being about 2 to 3 days in between because I was in pain from bending over and adjusting and moving around, and I don't have the best back. So be patient with this project. Again, if you're anything like me, I tackle small projects. This is one of the larger pieces that I've upcycled to date, and I'm used to just getting it painted and it's ready and I can put it out and make it all nice and pretty the very next day. I've probably had that cabinet for about 2 weeks and I'm just now finishing with it. All right, there you have it, guys. Thanks so much for taking some time out to watch this video. Leave me a note in the comments and let me know what you think about the project. If you have been looking for something to upcycle, if you've recently upcycled some, talk to me a little bit about what that process was like for you. This is definitely not going to be the last thing that I upcycle, but I probably won't be doing it anytime soon because my back still hurts a little bit. I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye.